What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Enter the Chat Gaming Podcast. You have entered the chat where we will sit here and talk all things gaming. This is our first actual episode. We've been talking about doing this, and I've been tweeting stuff out about a project coming on my main channel, and it's finally here. We're finally getting the first couple videos up. This will be the first official video on the Enter the Chat channel, and then Rico here did an additional video where he played the Final Fantasy Origin demo, and that will go up probably shortly after this podcast. And there's another guy who's going to be doing this channel with us. So, Rico, if you'd like to introduce yourself, go ahead.
I'm Rico.
That's all you got for me?
That's pretty much all I got. I mean, I'm Rico. You'll probably see me covering most of like the PlayStation stuff, whether it's gameplay, reactions, or breakdowns on any upcoming PlayStation games coming out. I mean, Nico here, though, you might see some stuff for him because this guy finally got himself a PS5.
Oh, yeah. Minor technical difficulties. This is going to be a very scuffed first episode. I can already tell. Very, very scuffed first episode. But basically,
Dude, let's face it. Basically, all our videos are going to be scuffed in some way.
oh yeah, I mean, we're using, like, your PC is super outdated, and the webcam I gave you is my old webcam that I used to use on my channel, and like it's just going to be very interesting. But basically what the channel is, I came up with the idea. I was talking with my brother, who will also be working on this channel with us. His name's Toby. And basically during E3 on my main channel, Kneeckoh Gaming, I realized I don't have the freaking time to cover everything, being a college student still, working part-time, and then still doing YouTube and all that stuff. I just don't have the freaking time to cover everything. Plus, until recently, I didn't have a PlayStation 5 or any of that stuff, so I didn't have time to cover those games. We didn't have the ability to cover those games. So I asked my buddy Rico here and my brother Toby if they wanted to hop on and do a channel that together, and we'd all separately do our own content and then come together for like gameplay stuff and podcast stuff like this, and then we would be able to cover a lot more and just a ton more that I can't cover alone on my own channel. I'll still do my channel stuff, but this is going to be one of our major focuses, and then we'll all be doing individual stuff. So like Rico said earlier, he'll be the main PlayStation guy. I have always been a Nintendo guy, so I've been handed the Nintendo stuff. Toby will be doing a lot of the Xbox stuff and PC and Game Pass stuff and stuff like that. And then it will come together for like certain games that are cross-play and play games together and show off gameplay and stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're hoping to have a lot of fun with it, and we'll probably have a couple other of our friends on every now and again, like Rico's brother. I mentioned to him coming on the podcast a couple times. So we'll probably eventually have more people rotating in and just doing stuff, but for now it's just the three of us working together, and I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting into all of it.
Right.
So I have a list. I told you I had the this Word doc that I would be using to talk about what we're gonna do here. So I have some introduction questions so people can get to know you. All right, and then I'll answer the questions after I ask you the questions.
Right.
All right. So we already covered your Rico. You are Rico Suave.
Rico Suave.
When did you start gaming?
Oh God! So really, it was ever my first ever. At least I think it was my first ever actual console. Was the first PlayStation. I don't remember how I got it, who got it for me. I just remember having it, and ever since then, I've played on every single PlayStation console, tons of Nintendo handhelds and consoles ever since then. But all in all, through and through PlayStation guy. Like I think very first game I ever played, what would it have been? I think it was like this weird racing game. It was a NASCAR racing game, but picture it like NASCAR with Mario Kart power-ups.
That sounds great to
It was a,
me.
it was a very interesting game.
That sounds pretty good to me.
And
All right.
then,
So based on that, I can guess your favorite platform's PlayStation.
yeah, pretty much like PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5, all the way through.
What's your favorite game style?
Okay, that's where it gets a little complicated because, well, if you had asked me like around PS3 era, I would have said shooters because around that time I poured like a lot of time into Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2 and all that.
I feel like
But
everybody did in high school, you know?
yeah, I know. Like we had one guy in our class whenever a new Call of Duty came out, he wouldn't be in school for like a day or two because he had what we called Call of Duty itis.
Nice.
But nowadays, I wouldn't say like I still enjoy shooters. Don't get me wrong, but now I'm kind of really into sort of like the action RPG stuff. Like I really like what they did with the Final Fantasy VII remake. I also
Mhm.
enjoyed Final Fantasy 15. So, and let's see. Darksiders 2, I don't know how many people are familiar with that series. At least the second one has somewhat of a very light RPG element, but still real fun. So it's probably leaning more towards those. Plus, also like the action-oriented storytelling stuff. Like aside from Last of Us 2 last year, one of my favorite games was Ghost of Tsushima.
Gotcha. Okay. And then final question I got for you: what's your favorite game of all time?
See, I can't keep it down to one game. It's more so the series, which you know this, of course. Kingdom Hearts. Like
That's fair.
since the since the first one on PS2, I don't know what it was hooked me on that one, but then when I was able to play the second one just got me completely hooked on the series to where I was like, I am all about this. I want more. I need
Yeah.
more. To where like as Nico constantly hears, and sometimes my brother, put Sora in Smash.
Yeah, every time we have a direct, that's what I get a tweet about. He messages me on Twitter. And he's like, "This is the day we're getting Sora in Smash."
And every day I am left with disappointment. But trust me, when it happens, you are not going to hear the end of it.
Oh, I
I
know.
should say, I should say if it happens, but still.
All
But
right.
yeah, favorite series, Kingdom Hearts through and through.
So for me, I am Kneeckoh. I have another channel, Kneeckoh Gaming. If you're coming over to this channel from Kneeckoh Gaming, hi, how are you? But that is my main channel.
I
I've been doing YouTube for like how I don't even know how long, forever. But Kneeckoh Gaming is my main channel that I've been doing the most content on. I've been doing that consistently for like 3 years. I have around 3,000 subscribers over there, and I cover everything gaming over there, and that's why we ended up doing this, because I just don't have time for it. My favorite platform, well, I guess my first console. First console, what was it? I had to think. I think the first console I had was the GameCube.
remember that because I remember coming over to your house and trying to
Yeah,
like bug you to play Smash.
I think it was the GameCube. We got the GameCube, and the first game I played on it was Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. That was the game.
Oh, there used to be so many good Godzilla games.
I loved the Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. So that was my first one, and I've been a Nintendo guy ever since. I've had everything but the Wii U. I had the Wii, skipped the Wii U, and then as soon as the Switch came out, I got the Switch, and I've always loved Nintendo games. They're just full of style, and like they just have their own appeal. I will say, now that I have access, well, now that I've played other stuff, I mean, I've always played PlayStation, but I have Xbox as of this generation, and the online services are really bugging me a lot more these days with Nintendo, so I've kind of strayed from it. So I would say my favorite platform right now, although I still love my Switch to death, is probably Xbox. I've played the most there recently, but I do also love the PlayStation ecosystem. I like trophy hunting and getting achievements and stuff, and Nintendo doesn't have that. So it's like, yeah, I end up
I don't
playing
get
more
how they
games,
don't.
especially with Game Pass. Xbox is definitely my favorite ecosystem to play on right now, just because I have so many games at my disposal at any given time. My favorite style of game, it right
I
now it's
have an idea what it
probably.
is.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say horror games.
I like horror. I like horror games, but I would say my favorite overall, being that I put so much time into World of Warcraft, is probably going
Oh
to
god.
be MMOs. MMOs, I played so much World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, Elder Scrolls Online, even Fallout 76 I put a ton of time into. I also really like Battle Royales. I play the main three, Warzone, Apex, and Fortnite. Those are the big ones for me. I love those. Fortnite being the one I play the most. So I would say, yeah, battle royales and MMORPGs are definitely my jam. But I play everything. I play literally everything under the sun. And then my favorite game of all time is World of Warcraft. I freaking love it to death. I got addicted to it because my dad played it when I was little, and I'd watch him. And then when I was old enough to make a starter edition account and had my own PC, I started playing and doing that stuff. And I've played it up until the latest expansion. And now I'm just kind of okay with letting it be a memory and letting it sit, where in the past I would literally just grind it. But yeah, that's me. So what we're gonna do today's episode, now that we've got the introductions out of the way, we're gonna talk E3. E3 was last weekend, and it kind of sprinkled into this week because we had the Xbox Extended Showcase on Thursday. So there's been
Right.
so much stuff. So the first part, before we get into the conferences, I just want to talk about how freaking awesome it is to have E3 back. versus last year and all the
Yeah.
craziness.
Now I
Because
will say, like, I'll consider E3 like truly and fully back once they're able to have like live conferences
yeah,
with the
yeah,
crowd and everything.
absolutely. But versus
Because
last year, where everybody just
yeah,
kind of did their random showcases here and there sprinkled throughout the summer, it
yeah,
didn't do the same versus a whole weekend dedicated to gaming. That's what gets me excited.
yeah. Which I still like that because it was almost like every few weeks or at least every month there was something new to look forward to or no, something new revealed.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of magic to E3 when stuff gets revealed there.
Now you are 100% right though. Losing the whole audience and hearing people just erupt at certain game announcements or at exclusives. Like imagine
Yeah,
when Xbox announced that Starfield was Xbox exclusive, the reaction from the crowd. That would have been
right.
insane. But we don't get that because of the craziness, and I'm hoping next year we'll get back to it. I'm hoping that's
Yeah.
the case.
Like one thing I know I've missed is that the Nintendo shop in was it New York, I think it is. How like whenever there was like it was either during E3 or big Nintendo Directs or announcements, I would always see like videos of people reacting to that stuff. So that's one thing I look forward to seeing come back because I would love to see like at least their reaction to um Kazuya being in Smash.
Yeah.
Just because I know he's not the most well known, but I would have liked to see how that crowd would have reacted to it.
Or the crowd reacting to the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer.
They would have lost
They
their
would
minds
it would
over
have
that.
been nuts.
I mean, even I kind of lost my mind a little bit. It's like, oh my god, how does this look gorgeous?
Yeah. So, before we get into the conferences again, what was your favorite? If you had to pick out of all of them, what's your favorite as of right now?
I mean, there's considering some of the conferences that went down. Now when we talk conferences, are we gonna include the Summer Games Fest? Because that wasn't a part of E3. That was like Jeff Keighley's own
I
separate
see at
thing.
this point I count it all together. I understand they're separate entities, but at the same time they're
Right.
trying to accomplish the same goal. So whatever you want to include, go ahead. I'm not worried about
Yeah.
whether it's specifically E3 branded or Summer Game Fest branded.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say if that's the case, then it's hard for me to choose between either the Summer Game Fest or Xbox. I'll probably give it to Xbox just because there was a lot more that was shown that I would personally be interested in. Like I might one day get like a Series X or X. When I don't know, but it could be eventually because, like Nico said, Game Pass is a hell of a deal, and a lot of the stuff that was shown at Xbox is going to come straight to Game Pass day one.
Oh
But at the
yeah,
same time,
baby.
Summer Games Fest, like finally seeing some stuff on Elden Ring, a heavily like anticipated game that was announced how many years ago.
Yeah.
Being able to finally see stuff on that and seems like this is going to be like, of course, it's going to be more Souls like games because those have been pretty popular over the years. But this looks like to be like the biggest Souls experience yet.
Yeah. It definitely, yeah, I know a lot of people. I've never been a big Souls like guy. I loved Bloodborne. That was about the only one I've actually put time into. But I see so many people reacting, and this being their biggest thing out of E3 or whatever, Summer Games Fest, however the hell you want to talk about it. I see
Yeah,
Elden Ring being the thing that everybody's excited about. And I'm honestly kind of keen on checking it out, even though I'm not a big Soulsborne guy. I really want
right.
to check it out.
Yeah, no, I know I'll definitely be checking out because it's weird. Like I always keep trying to get into like Souls like games. Like I have Dark Souls 3, I've tried playing Bloodborne, the Neo games, all that stuff. And it's like I want to get into them, but it's definitely not an easy thing to get into just because they're so like difficult to pick up and play.
Yeah, they're so punishing. That's the thing. I like picking up games and being able to play and have a good time. I like a challenge, but I'm not
Right.
looking to just have my like bash my head on my desk because I'm so upset I'm losing. So for me, getting into them's hard. With Bloodborne, it was the aesthetic of the game, just how good it looked and the themes and like the whole gothic art style they went with. That really clicked with me, so I put so much more time to that than other Dark Souls entries that I've played.
Right, and that sort of brings me to how to like I don't know if I say this in the FF Origins demo at all. I think it feels like Final Fantasy Origins Strangers of Paradise feels like if you want to get into a Souls like game, that might be a good starting point because I
Yeah,
don't know if they'll do this. I don't know if they'll do this for the full game, but you can choose the difficulty. The combat's a bit easier to get into. It does have some like if you've played Neo, you'll definitely see some semblance of Neo as you play the game, but I feel like it's much easier to get into. A bit more hectic, but if you play your abilities and cards right, it's not too bad to just like sweep through enemies.
yeah.
So when that game comes out, you might be into it, despite what you might think of the protagonist you play as, who I referred to as a drunk bastard out of a bar who stumbled into a LARP section.
So for me, I think that Xbox stole the show. Xbox, and
That's
I
fair.
know all over Twitter, I see all the PlayStation fucking fanboys. They're, Xbox still doesn't have games, blah, blah, blah. Are you freaking joking? How is that even still an argument?
See, like the thing is, and I even saw a list of like it showed a bunch of the games that were announced on on Xbox Showcase that are still gonna come to like other
Yeah.
platforms later on, like either day one or like a bit later.
Yeah, like
Which
Hades,
like
Back for
that's
Blood, that stuff.
yeah, but like the difference is like yeah, we know not all these games are gonna be just on Xbox, but the big difference is that a bunch of these games are gonna be day one on Game Pass.
Yeah,
So
that changes the whole dynamic of it.
so like a game that you would pay like maybe like 25 $30 because there was like I would see like some like smaller like indie looking games that might be around that price range
Yeah.
that you would pay to like own on another console. You might just be able to download it straight up if you already have Game Pass.
Yeah. So we've talked about our favorite conferences, whatever
Right.
part they were, if they were E3 or Summer Games Fest, who the hell cares? I want to say before we get into the big ones, because obviously Xbox and Nintendo were the ones that really were the big ones that everybody
Right.
was looking forward to. Before we get into those, I think we need to talk about the smaller stuff because I feel as a whole, E3 was very lackluster.
It was
Outside
like
of those two conferences, I feel like everything else, like there was some cool stuff sprinkled in, but all in all, I mean, it was still exciting because it was E3 and it was back, but all in all, a lot of the releases and stuff and the announcements, it just so much stuff went wrong with this E3. And I get it. We're still coming out of this pandemic and all that stuff, and people are still trying to get their games the way they want them. And some people just opted not to show up. And I kind of wish more people would have just been like, yeah, we're not showing up to E3 this year.
as a there were definitely some that definitely shouldn't have. I don't know why they were. Like big example to me is like Capcom. They had a slot for E3, but what did they show?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
literally the only sort of stuff we got was I guess gameplay on that Ace Attorney game, which isn't so much a new game, but one that's finally getting localized for the West.
Hmm.
And then just and the announcement that they're just now starting development on Resident Evil Village DLC.
Yeah. So yeah, like that
And
one alone, I was really looking forward to Capcom because I was off the high of Resident Evil 8 Village, which was fantastic, and I was hoping to see more stuff. And only hearing that they're just now starting it is kind of lackluster. And then there wasn't really anything on Monster Hunter, and they got two big Monster Hunter games right now: Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is coming out, I want to say July 9th, and then they got Monster Hunter Rise, which has been killing it with updates and stuff, but they didn't really show off a whole lot for that.
and the only thing they really show is like, hey, there's a collab coming up for Rise, but it's with more Monster Hunter, which is like, well, why?
Yeah,
Like that's not like yeah, cool, I guess, but it's not really anything exciting. You're just crossing over with basically the same game, same franchise.
yeah,
And then and I saw one thing a lot of people were sort of mad about was how so like at the beginning they said they were going to wrap up with talks from Capcom Fighters. So people were thinking, "Oh, we're going to get some news on like a new Capcom fighting game because there's a huge demand or
yeah,
want for a new Marvel versus Capcom."
yeah.
But no, it was just esports. That's all
Yeah,
it was.
it's see like they could have totally stepped out. Square was interesting because
Yeah,
they came out
at
swinging
least
with that Guardians of the Galaxy game.
yeah, they came out smooth with it. We got like quite a bit of gameplay and see how like it plays out. I did see some people were like kind of disappointed that you're only gonna be able to play as Star Lord and you won't be able to play as any of the other Guardians.
Yeah, but I see. I initially was on that page. I definitely was initially with that, but then at the same time, it's like okay, that's a lot of characters to deal with, and that you can't really like the way they showed it off. You're going to be making a lot of choices that kind of direct the Guardians and the path they take. So there's going to be
Right.
what it appears is there's going to be a lot of replayability out of this game, and I feel like if you played as the different Guardians, that would kind of take that away, and then at that point you would almost have a game that's pretty much like Avengers where you're constantly switching characters. And
I was just gonna say that.
as much as I like Avengers, right? I don't need another multiplayer Marvel game. Just give me good stories like
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Give me the characters I love in their own unique worlds and make it a good story that's compelling and something I want to keep playing through. Where I think this is the better option. If they would have done the whole let's play as Rocket this level, let's play as Drax this level, I don't think it would have been as good as, hey, I'm Star-Lord, I'm in charge of the Guardians. Here's how I'm telling this story and picking, the route that the Guardians are going to go down. That I find super interesting, and the more gameplay and stuff I saw and the more of the dialogue options I saw, that was super interesting to me.
Yeah, like the dialogue choices really interest me because I don't know if you caught it when they were showing gameplay, but the part where you're deciding where to have Drax toss Rocket over that ridge,
Yeah.
and then in the corner it showed like Rocket is furious you for telling Drax to say that. So I'm wondering if it's going to be similar to the. I wonder if it's going to be a similar mechanic to the Telltale games where certain interactions with characters will leave like impressions on them that'll affect later in the game.
I could see that being a thing. I could definitely see that being a thing. And then, but like they came out swinging with that, and then they moved into Avengers. And as excited as I am for the Wakanda expansion for Avengers and the new updates, I haven't touched Avengers since like October. And because
Dude,
of the problems on last gen, I bought it on my PlayStation 4. At the time, I didn't have my next gen Xbox, and now I have a PlayStation 5. I'm going to be hopping back in, but what they showed, like Black Panther looks cool, but they didn't show anything saying like the missions are going to change. Here's what's actually going to be a part of this expansion. Here's what to expect.
Right.
Here's how we're fixing the problems that people already have with our game. Instead, they just were like, hey, we've got more stuff coming. But that doesn't mean that we've cleared anything up that we had issues with in the past. So I'm very curious how that's going to play out.
I feel like when it comes to that stuff, they might not necessarily announce that in E3. Maybe if they have like another like sort of small stream or something like that, or who knows, they might just like tweet out a bunch of hot fixes they're bringing to the game because I know companies tend to do that with upcoming updates.
I just wish we would have gotten a little more information. Now I am looking forward to getting into Wakanda and getting back into Avengers, but at the same time, I just wanted more out of that. And then it just kind of like, after that, it was kind of whatever, because there was the whole debacle with the Stranger of Paradise, where the demo didn't even freaking work when they released it. It was a whole corrupted file, and you couldn't even play the damn demo. And like, watching you play it when I was editing the video that's gonna go up after this podcast, I was like, this doesn't look like fantastic in terms of the graphical fidelity.
Yeah, like the combat really is like honestly really fun. I really did enjoy that, but graphically and looks wise, it did not look the best.
Yeah,
like it can definitely look better.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like the overall game just looked like, how would I describe it? It just looked really dark. It like, and almost like there was sort of, for most of the sections, like it's almost like a foggy film over it. It was just very weird looking.
I noticed that as well. It was super dark the whole time you were playing it, until you went outside that big castle thing. I was like, what the hell? I was like, is this just my editing software? Is my computer brightness too low? But no, it's just the game is fucking the game's fucking dark. I don't understand it, and the character doesn't look like he belongs in a Final Fantasy game.
He doesn't.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
And the thing that's also annoying is, like, you see those two guys running around with me, they do practically nothing.
I noticed that as I was watching you play it.
Like, even when I'm in combat and I'm surrounded by, like, 5 different enemies, they hardly are attacking or doing anything at all.
I noticed that as you were playing. I was like, what are they? They're just standing there.
I was like, this AI is shit. Do something.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird looking game. And what the hell else did they even announce at Square's thing? Because I forgot already, because we got so much shit packed together.
Oh yeah, they showed off a more Life is Strange. They announced that there's going to be a remaster of the first game, which nobody really asked for, but okay. And then they showed off stuff for the second one, which honestly does look pretty nice. Not really my type of game that I'd be playing, but it does look pretty, like, it looks like it'll be like, at least graphically looking, it'll look like it'll be a good game.
Yeah, and then I did not vibe with Square's presentation after Guardians. I felt like everything, for me personally, as someone who's not a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series and all that stuff, it just, after Guardians, it just kind of fell off. For me, at least.
For me, like, even with like Origins for me, like kind of brought it up a little bit, but I really wish they would have shown a little bit more on Final Fantasy 16 because
Yeah.
that's the one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. That'll probably be at whatever Sony's planning here after E3.
Yeah, yeah, I've kind of noticed that because like even if it's a developer E3, if it's a game that's going to be exclusive to a platform, then you'll probably see it for a stream or whatever
Yeah.
that company does.
Yeah. And then what were the Ubisoft announced what? That Avatar game? That was the big
They
thing they had.
Well, that and they also announced a sequel to Mario and Rabbids.
That yeah, okay. I saw the leak before the
Yeah, I
presentation
was
even
gonna say,
happened.
but sadly they Nintendo kind of took the wind out of those sales by leaking it, which is very unlike Nintendo. Really, they
It
don't
was
not too
weird.
much. Yeah, Nintendo isn't really one to sort of like leak stuff ahead of time.
But yeah, like Ubisoft, I didn't even watch the Ubisoft. I think I was busy the day of that conference, so I didn't even see it.
Oh
But I just
yeah.
saw the Avatar was announced and that Mario and Rabbids was getting a sequel. Outside of that, I didn't see a whole lot out of Ubisoft. I guess there was that Rainbow Six Extraction game. That looks pretty
Oh yeah,
interesting.
that does look interesting. Like I'll have to see more like actual gameplay to see how it plays out and how it looks before I decide if it's gonna be something that's gonna be on my radar or not. But it does seem like I do find it interesting that they took something that was initially like a special mode in Rainbow Six Siege and now they're turning it into a whole separate game.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's gonna be cool. That's the one I'm really looking forward to out of Ubisoft. The Avatar game
Yeah.
seems cool, but it's like we're so far out from Avatar and we have no idea when the next Avatar is even coming that it's like it's not really in the mind share of people right now. Nobody's really
I was gonna
thinking
say
about Avatar.
I was gonna say that seems like such a weird choice to like announce an Avatar game now, where we haven't seen or heard anything about the next Avatar movie or movies, I should say, because James Cameron has like multiple lined
Yeah.
up or anything like that. So it just seems odd to me to be showing an Avatar game like at this time.
Yeah. And then what else? PC gaming show was kind of boring. There wasn't a whole lot there. They showed off
Yeah, I
a
didn't
lot of
really.
computer parts, and I don't really play PC anymore. I used to, but
Yeah,
it's just not my jam anymore. I give me my console. That's what I want. So
yeah,
that really didn't hit for me.
yeah. And then another one that I didn't watch it, but I did see like a clip of it. Take Two's E3 segment was a whole lot of nothing. It was essentially a bunch of devs or all of Take Two's subsidiaries just on what looked like a Zoom call, sort of like just talking about Take Two and their games or businesses.
If I'm remembering correctly, Take Two was about they had like the inclusion and diversity segment. Something
Yeah,
I felt like one of them it was at Take Two, which again I think it's good that they had it, but I think they should
yeah.
have definitely come out and said something about it. Maybe they did, maybe I missed it, but like I think people had expectations for games and then not seeing that. I mean I think it's good it was there, but
Oh no, if if you want to talk subverting people's expectations, Bandai Namco really dropped the ball because people the whole time for Bandai Namco and for anybody who doesn't know, they're kind of like the name you think of when it comes to anime style games, and but they're also one of the developers behind Elden Ring and some other. I think they're also one of the ones behind Dark Souls and stuff like that. So it's somewhat of a bigger name over the
mhm.
years. But all they talked about was that I already forget the name. That something of Ash's game. It's part of that anthology from the guys behind Until Dawn.
Yeah, I can't think of it. What is it? I can't think of the game. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, but basically it was just sort of like a 10-minute talk about that. Like, and they announced that the day I was like, hey, like this is all we're gonna talk about, and that left people pissed
Yeah.
because people were expecting at least some sort of announcement. I was like, okay, what's the next big like anime game? Like, not necessarily something like Dragon Ball or Naruto or whatever else they do.
Yeah.
Just whatever's like next big anime game. I am fixing my pants.
Yeah, I so like all the other conferences aside from Xbox and Nintendo, I felt like just weren't. And I guess like the Summer Game Fest kickoff was good. I'll give that because that was
Yeah,
where Elden Ring was, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, all that stuff. That was cool.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
like the side conferences were just not hitting. I felt the way that they needed
yeah.
to, and
Those
like
were just like,
especially when you don't announce big games, I feel like a lot of that stuff gets lost in the noise of everything else that is E3.
yeah. I was gonna say when you were at E3, you got to do like one of two things. You either gotta announce a brand new game, or at least give a big enough update of a game you had already announced that people are really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like even something as so much as a new trailer or showing off gameplay if you haven't, or even doing something like what Square Enix did with Guardians. Like you announce the new game, but then you also go straight into gameplay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just it was odd. But then we had Xbox. We're gonna cover Nintendo last because we have differing opinions on Nintendo. But we agreed pretty much on everything Xbox, and Xbox came out big dick swinging. Okay, they came out
Oh
with
yeah,
so much power moves that it's unbelievable. Because I mean,
yeah.
in the first minute, Todd Howard's on stage, which is the big thing. Everybody was like, "How's the Bethesda Xbox showcase gonna work?" Todd Howard's out on stage first with Starfield right out the gate, and it's like, "Hey, this shit's Xbox exclusive." That is big dick energy right there out of Xbox.
I will say that people probably weren't too happy seeing that the release date for Starfield isn't for like over a year still.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to
I
see if
saw somewhere, or heard somewhere that it's like the longest, like the farthest out from the release date that we've ever had an actual release date for a game.
it is definitely an interesting choice, but I think it's good saying like, hey, it's still not going to be for a while, but we're going to give you like a date that we're planning to actually release this at least.
Yeah,
Whereas other companies would sometimes, I mean, Bethesda's probably guilty of this too, would say like, "Hey, this is coming out like." They could have said this is coming out fall 2022 and
yeah,
not commit to a date at all.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I just thought that them bringing Todd Howard out the gate and showing like, yeah, Bethesda is now Xbox, and not talking about anything Ghostwire Tokyo or Deathloop related was a
Right.
huge power move.
Yeah, which that was either a power move or if I don't know if that was like a contractual thing because those are both going to be like I guess now timed PlayStation exclusives
Yeah,
for I think I forget how long, like maybe a year. So that's usually the given. But yeah, I was at least expecting like a little bit of those, but I wasn't gonna be too surprised if they didn't, which
yeah,
they didn't. And then they also announced it's funny because they opened up with Bethesda and they also closed out Bethesda with that Redfall game.
yeah. The Redfall game was cool, and I'm not surprised by that either because, like, they still have those other contracts out there that it's like, hey, we're still have some stuff on PlayStation, but now that we are Xbox, here's a new exclusive game that is coming game day and date with Game Pass, and then
Yeah.
you're going to be getting this only on Xbox. I thought that was a really smart move, and the game looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't see gameplay; it was just a cinematic trailer.
Like it
But
did say
I'm
when they showed that that was in game. Yeah, was it
yeah,
in game footage though? I can't remember because it usually says
it
with
might have
those
been in engine or something.
you're you're bugging out for me a little bit.
Yeah, you're bugging out for me. It's all right. As long as your audio's coming through, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but yeah, like I couldn't remember if like at the bottom, usually at the bottom of trailers it'll say like actual in-game footage. And I can't remember if the Starfield trailer said that or not.
Yeah,
If it did, then that's pretty interesting because that game already looked. Whew.
yeah,
Now from what we already know, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be like a crazy sci-fi fantasy adventure. Like people kept calling this like space Skyrim, where
yeah,
it doesn't actually seem like it's gonna be like that. It seems it's gonna be more a bit more grounded in reality, but still have like some light fantasy sci-fi elements. Like
yeah.
you'll be able to go to other worlds and stuff. We saw that robot in the trailer, so you'll probably be able to work on stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we still have no idea what the hell Starfield is, so it's not one that really grabbed
You,
my attention that much. But
yeah, we
I,
still have yet to hear
yeah,
more
I
about
want to
it.
see, and I guarantee this is going to be next year's E3. Is Xbox comes out and they do this standard Bethesda thing where anytime their game's coming out in the fall, that is their big showing, and they're like, they did it with Fallout 4, they did it with Fallout 76. It's like, here's a bunch of gameplay, here's what this is going to be. Buy it in the fall.
Right.
That's what I'm predicting next year out of them. But then outside of Bethesda stuff, Xbox just had game after game, and they did it so well where there wasn't any space wasted. It was like, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's Pete Hines, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer. Now we got Phil Spencer, close the shit out, one more thing. They did so good with the pacing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of like Xbox's niche now. I think they've been doing it for a couple of years now where it's
Mm-hmm.
basically like there's not going to be a whole lot of talking. We're just going to show you a shit ton of trailers and games that are coming out on
Yeah,
Xbox. And of course, other platforms, but you're not going to hear that in Xbox
Yeah.
conference. You have to find out for yourself.
And like having 30 games at this thing and then 27 of them being day and date on Game Pass. Holy shit, that's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's why I like all the arguments on Twitter. Like in my opinion, the console war only exists on social media. Like that's
like
it. No one cares outside of that. Everybody's just like, okay, like people that saw Starfield was going to be PlayStation exclusive. Yeah, there's people complaining on social media, but most PlayStation gamers like yourself are going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to buy an Xbox and play these games on Game Pass.
Yeah, because Game Pass is a great deal, and honestly, like games like I probably wouldn't play like the campaign, but Halo Infinite multiplayer that looked really
Yeah.
fun. That looks like something I'd be interested in. And plus, there was some other smaller stuff. Like one game that comes to mind that I really like to look up was I think it was called Replaced. It was
Yeah,
like a
Replaced.
pixelated 3D art style. It looked really good to me.
Yeah, Replaced looks super cool. I'm interested to see if it actually comes out because there was another game of a similar style that then like never ended up seeing the light of day. So I'm curious about that.
Right.
But like Stalker 2, that game looks really dope. I'm really curious about the setting
That
of
did
that.
look interesting.
Because I like the
sort of like it sort of gave me Metro Exodus.
Yeah, that's I was thinking Metro, and I'm curious about it. It kind of looks like it's got some horror elements in there, and I'm digging that. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. What the hell else was there? There was so much that they showed off. Psychonauts 2. I have not played the first Psychonauts.
Yeah.
I have it installed on Game Pass, and I'm looking forward to playing through it after I finish up Doom 2016. But like I'm looking forward to that because I love platformers, and it's giving me like the Marios, the Sonic, the 3D Sonic kind of vibes. It's giving me those kind of platforming vibes, and I'm looking forward to that. And then
like one game that stuck out to me, I can't remember the name of it, but it just stuck out to me from how like weird it looked when the trailer played. It was that one game that had sort of like that Russian techno dance music playing over it.
Oh, it was.
I can't remember the name of it.
What is it? It's I know exactly what you're talking about. What is the name of that game? They announced it a couple E3s ago. I've seen it before, but I can't remember the name of it. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, it just like it looks so weird that it fascinated me. I was like, there's so much like weird stuff going on in this trailer that I don't know whether to be afraid or compelled.
Yeah. And then like Sea of Thieves with the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff, that's freaking awesome.
That caught me off guard.
I'm a long time. Like I got Sea of Thieves when it came out originally and the game was kind of like nothing. There was not a whole lot to do in the game, and seeing it progress, and like I loved it then. I thought it's super fun because it's that hop in and create your own fun kind of game, and I dig that a lot. And playing it with like Dylan and Toby in high school and stuff, that was super fun. But now they've got it to a point where the game's so great and people have been asking forever. They're like, can we get more enemy types? Can we get this, that, and the other? And we're finally getting new enemies, new quest lines with Pirates of the Caribbean characters.
You are seriously
Raw.
bugging out for me. I'm getting little bits and pieces of your audio. I did not catch anything you said. It was just ring.
Where'd you miss me at? Where'd I cut out at? Because you just popped back in. You were frozen for a second.
I don't even remember.
Anyway, okay, I'll start from the beginning. That's fine. It don't bug me at all. As a longtime Sea of Thieves player, people have been asking for stuff, like, can we get the new enemy types? Can we get more ship types? Stuff like that. And seeing them come in with like Pirates of the Caribbean themed ship and cosmetic stuff and quest lines and new enemy types, because like for the longest time it's been like the skeletons, and then we had the Meg and the Kraken in the water, but outside of that there weren't a whole lot of enemy types, and now we're getting like mermaids and these rock creatures. I'm freaking stoked to hop back in and start playing it again.
It makes me curious now too, is like what other kind of like special crossovers or like updates do they have lined up? Because like, are they gonna keep it with like pirate themed stuff, or are they gonna go really out of the ballpark and mix in like stuff you wouldn't expect in a pirate themed game? Like, imagine if they just had like a full on partnership with DC and you actually saw some sort of version of like a Marvel crossover in Sea of Thieves.
That'd be cool. I could see them trying to just stick with the pirate stuff, but then take it from other Like obviously Pirates of the Caribbean's a huge one, but then there's other pirate stuff. Like the big one that comes to mind for me is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Throw some cosmetics and stuff in
Yeah,
from that, and that'd be really dope. Just like small crossovers like that, just not even like necessarily quest lines, but like cosmetic stuff. That would be super cool.
yeah, just throw in like some sort of like update DLC where like Edward Kenway just rolls in on his ship on the island. You meet him in a bar.
That'd be sweet. See, I don't even have to see him for more than that one instance, but that's just a really cool, like, little Easter egg thing that they could definitely do. That'd be super cool. So that was super
Right.
exciting. And then we talked about Halo already, but Halo has me very excited. And I was surprised how little they showed, but actually, after seeing the extended showcase, not as surprised. But coming
Yeah.
right off of the actual Xbox game showcase, I was a little surprised. But the campaign looks interesting. It looks way better than what we saw last summer. Looks dramatically
Right.
better.
I, that's what I was gonna say. Like what they showed at E3, it is way better than when they first showed this game. So I'm pretty glad that they delayed it because it looks like it definitely paid off.
Yeah. And then the multiplayer being free for everybody, not just Game Pass players, that's freaking awesome as
That's
well.
a real big dick move.
Yeah, getting as many people into Halo as possible is super, super cool. And the gameplay looked sweet. It looked so good.
Not even just like getting into Halo, but possibly getting more people on Xbox. Because imagine like getting an Xbox, but you don't necessarily like have a game lined up for it. You'd be able to just download Halo multiplayer for free and start off with that right away.
Yeah, like it's insane that they're doing that, and I think it's a great freaking move. And then moving into some other stuff, like again, we get back to Replaced. That was super cool. That had just like a real unique art style. The Ascent, that was that like twin stick top down shooter. That I was really looking forward to already, but seeing the gameplay, I'm even more excited for it. So the Ascent looks
Yeah,
dope. What
right.
else was there? There was so much at the showcase. There was literally
I know.
so many games.
So let's talk about that Redfall game they announced at the end because we briefly mentioned it, but we haven't
Yeah,
really dove into it. It's definitely an interesting. From what I hear, it's actually going to be like an open world sort of multiplayer type of game where like all those people shown, it's not so much. It's not going to be like a class deal, but those are the characters that you will play as,
yeah,
and each one has their own unique abilities and powers.
yeah.
And it looks like such an interesting genre of game. You got vampires, you got robots, you got these people with somewhat like seems like special like telekinetic powers and stuff. This is such like an interesting blend of so many different things at once.
All right, so my internet cut out right there. We were talking about Redfall.
Scuffed chat as its finest.
Oh yeah, Redfall though. I was not expecting it from Arcane because they're already working on Deathloop. So I was
Right.
not
So that
expecting something brand new like that.
yeah. Deathloop is coming out, when is it? I think
September.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what that says about like where they are at on the game. Maybe it means that they're a bit more done with it as opposed to what we thought. But then we also got to think of like they got to support it for a while, so just makes you wonder like either Redfall's far off or maybe they've got a lot more done with Deathloop than what we initially thought.
Yeah. It's curious. One we forgot to talk about for whatever reason. Back for Blood being on Game Pass day
Oh
one.
yeah, that's a big one really because Back for Blood essentially like you could call it either a sequel or a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead games, but day one Game Pass, that's a good deal because those games are wild.
It's a great deal, especially because with a game like that, it's gonna be hard to convince people to drop $60 to play it.
Right.
Versus you throw something on Game Pass, like Knockout City is a perfect example of this. Where Knockout City had that free trial and it's still on Game Pass, and without the free trial / Game Pass, there wouldn't have been that huge community that would have been willing to drop $20 to try the game out. Versus throw it on Game Pass plus the free trial, you already have established that community of people that want to play. So throwing Back for Blood on Game Pass is going to bring so many more people on, and then they're going to be like, hey, talk to their buddies. Hey, it's cross play. Hop on, buy it on your system. Let's play.
Yeah. Yeah, which that seems to be like the strategy like newer games are sort of going, not just on Game Pass, but also with some of the monthly PlayStation Plus games where they're gonna is like, you know what, this game's just coming up, but guess what? It's gonna be free for the first month, basically.
Yeah, I like that
And
stuff.
basically by doing yeah, like one of the big ones from the PlayStation Plus monthly games was that Oddworld Soulstorm game. As soon as that came out, that was like a free PlayStation Plus game. Same with Bug Snacks. So
Yeah,
that got a lot more people playing it than who knows what the number would have been.
yeah, that was awesome. And then the big one for me, the highlight of the entire Xbox Bethesda showcase was Forza. Forza looks unfreaking believable.
That looks stupid.
It looks so
Like,
good.
I don't know how they manage it.
Hold on, you're bugging. I didn't hear what you said. What was that?
Like, I forget. I didn't say anything. I was taking a drink.
Oh, yeah.
I got right here with me.
It's crazy how good that game looks, and the Mexico theme's cool because there's so much there in Mexico. There's so many different biomes and environments that you can explore.
I don't know why when they said Mexico, I got like Fast and Furious vibes, and all I could hear was Van Diesel in the back of my head going like, "It's all about fan."
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But let's talk about Nintendo. Because you got my expectations too high. Before I watch it, and
your expectations are too high.
No. Okay, so during I was at work when the Nintendo showcase was happening, so I had to go home and watch it afterwards, and I made a reaction video. Rico texted me while I was at work and was like, you're gonna have a field day when you make this video because Nintendo saved E3. So my expectations were up there. I was like, oh man, E3's been kind of lackluster. If Nintendo just came out the gate swinging, it's gonna be an awesome showcase. And then, what the hell did they even start with? What was it? I don't even remember.
I'm trying to remember. It's so hard to remember these companies show things.
Yeah.
I know they start off pretty strong. What was it?
Exactly.
Fuck, what was the beginning?
Exactly.
Was it Metroid?
No.
No, not exactly. My memory is shit.
No, but like, okay, of the showcase, of all the stuff, we got the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. That was awesome. Cool. We had Metroid. That was cool. It wasn't the Metroid everybody wanted, but it was cool to see Metroid regardless. Mario and Rabbids, which everybody already knew about. Mario Party, which, okay, they're finally doing Mario Party right on Switch, but why the hell is it another $60 game instead of already just being added on to the Mario Party that's already on Switch? So that alone ruined that little moment for me because I was looking forward to more Mario Party, but then it was like, hey, you got to buy a whole new game. That kind of kills the hype for me. And then, the Smash announcement was the first thing that happened, which was cool.
Yep, that's what it was.
But I don't play Tekken, and I don't really care about the character. It's cool, but we already have so many fighters in Smash. Give us something different.
There's only 3.
Yeah, but
there's only Ryu, Ken, and Terry.
At this point, like we said the other day, Captain Falcon might as well just be a fighting game character.
Yeah, true. and while you're at it, you might as well throw in Sinnoh in there because he's basically the Pokemon version of another Tekken character named King, who's basically a masked wrestler, and the mask he wears is a leopard mask.
Yeah, it's like
or a cheetah mask, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but it's like it didn't hit for me. I'm sure it hit for somebody.
It definitely hit for quite a few people. Like one of the guys I watch, Maximilian. I don't know if you watch him or not. Mm-hmm. He's basically like, if you're looking for someone to watch on YouTube in terms of fighting games, he's like the fighting game guy. Like he's good at games, not the greatest, but he like breaks it down to a T for people.
Yeah.
And like he was just like, what the fuck?
But then there was like we got Mario Golf. Why did I need to see more Mario Golf? Mario Golf comes out next week.
People, it comes out.
It comes out next Friday.
Exactly. I forgot till they showed it.
But they didn't need to show a whole thing on it. Just give us a little snippet during like those 30-second clips. Like, here are the games coming to the Switch, and then throw the release date up, and then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Mario Golf." But showing us that much Mario Golf after we've already seen so much Mario Golf. Same with Skyward Sword. Why the hell did we need to see Skyward Sword again? It's a remaster.
Yeah. A remaster that should be $60, I might add.
I don't care that it's $60 because I didn't play it and it's updated.
But it updated just graphically, not.
And you can use button controls. You couldn't in the first one. I'm okay with
buttons.
I'm okay with that though, because I didn't play the original. So I'm more than okay to play, and it's not already on Switch. It's not like you can backwards compatible with like Wii games. You can't buy Wii games on the eShop. But with something like Mario Party, where I gotta spend $60 for a game that's already on Switch, that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing is, like with remasters, would you still want to pay full, basically the same price for a game when it first came out? And all that's different is that the picture's a little bit prettier.
But if I still had a Wii and I had Skyward Sword, I would likely not buy it. But I don't have a Wii and I don't have Skyward Sword, and it's going to cost me more money to go buy a Wii, or the same price to go buy a Wii and Skyward Sword. So for me, it makes sense to just buy the new version.
My brain cells are dropping by the minute by just hearing that.
I don't have a Wii.
Ah, that's not the point!
I mean, if you have a Wii,
if it's a remaster, it should be teacher. The game came out how many years ago?
No. See, that's just never how Nintendo's been. It's never how they will be.
Exactly, and it's still stupid.
I'm okay with it because I'll buy it.
Okay, but quick question: how's it taste? How's it taste?
Fine. I'm okay.
Yeah, Nintendo's dick tastes that good? Huh?
There it is. There it is. So, like I said, Monster Hunter Stories 2. We don't need to see more of that. We've seen that at so many of Capcom's little Monster Hunter Direct things. We don't need that.
Yeah, that one they definitely could have let out.
Yeah, it's just like they showed so much stuff that we already know, and like stuff that's coming out in less than a month. Show us stuff that's coming out later, more stuff. Like we got a little glimpse of what Mario and Rabbids was changing, and that's super dope.
Yeah, and then let's see, we got a new Wario game announcement. That's something people have been asking for a lot.
Yeah.
And then we got, what was it? Finally, the localization of, I think, the latest Fatal Frame game, which apparently in the US isn't called Fatal Frame. It's called Project Zero. There's a weird naming thing with that.
That was on Wii U, I believe.
No, this isn't like a... Yeah, one of the games was, but this is a new one.
But, like, that's cool. I like that. WarioWare, it's a bunch of mini games, and you're gonna spend $60 for it. So that's another game that it's like, eh?
To be fair, isn't that essentially what Mario Party is, though, aside from the board game element?
To a degree, but Mario Party is more polished. If you look at like the new Mario Party, it looks really good.
Yeah, polished, but then again, WarioWare games have always had their own unique 2D style to it. And so it's not going to look as polished as a Mario Party game, but that's just because it's its own thing.
If they come out the gate and say it's not a $60 game, I will buy it. I will quit bashing WarioWare, but $60 is a lot to ask for a WarioWare game.
I feel it might be cheaper than $60, but then, like you said, we have to wait and see on that. But still, the fact that a new Wario game, when I don't even remember when the last one was.
I think it was 3DS.
That was pretty exciting. And then that 3DS there. Speaking of DS area, Metroid Dread. Apparently, this game was first talked about all the way back in 2005. This game was supposed to be on the DS.
Yeah.
And now we're getting on the Switch. I don't know what the hell happened, but hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, like I kind of like the little element because I guess one of the highlights from one of the old Metroid games, I forget which one, was where you had that sort of clone of Samus that sort of just stalks you around the area. Yeah. And now in Metroid Dread, you got these killer crawly robots that are gonna be chasing after you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that one. And what else was even there? They had Just Dance, because apparently people keep buying that. Just Dance is coming. Well, Life is Strange. Both of those are coming, aren't they?
Those both are coming on Switch. Don't know how at least the sequel is going to run, but we'll have to see about that.
And then
let's see.
Shin Megami Tensei.
Shin Megami Tensei 5. We got gameplay on that now, seeing how that's going to look. Definitely an interesting setting.
We did see Guardians was going to make it to the Switch.
That's a surprise to me, because, like, out of all those games, Guardians is definitely going to graphically be the strongest. So I'm curious on how that'll run on
Yeah, I'm
Switch.
very curious as how that's gonna end up running. And then
Same,
go ahead.
uh, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, that's coming to Switch. While albeit it's not a graphically strong game, there's a because it's Dragon Ball, there is a shit ton of particles in
Yeah,
fight. So your Switch may explode when you go to boot that up.
I'm
Just
curious how
fair
that'll
warning.
run. And then we got like the Shin Megami Tensei, we got actual gameplay, but we've seen that, we knew that was coming. I feel like for E3 they should have come with more of future stuff and then saved it for another direct where we saw like Shin Megami Tensei stuff. You know, show us more of the big crazy stuff because like a lot of the stuff that's coming soon isn't big Nintendo Switch releases. Like Metroid's coming soon. We obviously know the new fighter's coming soon. Mario and Rabbids is 2022, same with Breath of the Wild. Like show us more like later this year because right now we're looking at what Metroid and that's it.
I think I can't remember what else. Um,
Because Skyward
let's see,
Sword's in July,
Yeah, I think Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out later this year. I think they gave a release date for that.
but I just felt like,
And
and especially like I was hoping. I know they said that they were doing more software with this. I was still hoping for like, hey,
yeah,
here's the Switch
I
Pro,
that was definitely one of the big expectations people had coming into this
especially
E3,
with the
which I
Bloomberg articles and everything that came out before
yeah,
E3.
but I feel like when it's going to come to that, they're just going to announce a completely separate direct and specify that's going to focus on hardware as opposed to software for this, or maybe a little bit of both.
I think they'll just shadow drop a trailer because when they announced the Switch, it wasn't even like a direct. They just threw the trailer up and were like, here you go.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how they handle that if we're still getting a Switch Pro. Because at this point, who knows? All the rumors flying around, people confirming, deconfirming stuff. Who knows what to expect at this point?
Yeah, and honestly, like at this point, I don't think we're getting it until whenever Breath of the Wild 2 drops. And it doesn't even seem like they're confident they're going to hit a 2022 release date. I think it'll be day and date with Breath of the Wild 2, but they only said they're like, "Hey, we're shooting for a 2022 release date."
Yeah, I was gonna say
I don't think they'll make it.
the fact that he said they're shooting for it, so that tells me it either comes out fall or holiday next year, or and if not, then it probably might not be out till early 2023 at the latest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but that trailer though they showed, like, yeah, it was just trailer, but I feel like you could definitely find a lot of stuff going on there. For one, Link either one of two things that people are I'm guessing happened. Either Ganon severely like damaged or infected his arm, or just ripped it off entirely, and he lost the Master Sword.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm super excited for this game, but again, we knew Breath of the Wild 2 was coming. We knew what Breath of the Wild 2 was going to be. It's going to be more Breath of the Wild with some slight variations to Hyrule. So for me, it was like it's
That is more than a very. It was like that whole sky area, floating isles area.
but like I expected it.
We don't know if that's just Hyrule. That could be a whole new area.
I get we got the sky stuff, but like it just wasn't enough for me to get me over the moon excited. If they would have slapped a release date on there, that would have sent me over the edge. But for me, it was like, okay, it's more Breath of the Wild. Like a lot of the stuff, like they showed the sky stuff, but there was still a lot of other stuff that's like, okay, more Sheikah Slate stuff. Could have guessed that was going to happen. There was more stuff on the actual ground.
And I have a theory about that. It didn't look like he had the actual slate. It looks like he was actually using his arm. So I guess whatever happened to his arm, some sort of Sheikah force, saved his arm or gave him a new one, and now he has basically Sheikah Slate powers, but they're infused into his arm now.
It's
So
possible.
it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
But yeah, for me though,
I saw like
go ahead.
Yeah, because like in the trailer, the one new ability you seemed to have, it looked like a variation of the time stop ability he had, where
Yeah.
he stopped that boulder, but then he actually like sent it back in time, basically reversed it. So I'm wondering if like maybe in this game we'll be able to upgrade the Sheikah Slate abilities.
Yeah. But for me though, the whole presentation was just It was okay. It wasn't the worst direct I've ever seen, but it wasn't the we saved E3 moment I was expecting.
Okay, so when I said they saved E3. What in your mind? What kind of stuff were you expecting?
I was expecting obviously Metroid because there have been rumblings of a
Right.
2D Metroid coming to Switch forever. I was expecting Breath of the Wild 2 because I think that's just kind of the obvious thing. And then I was expecting more stuff that we hadn't seen. Like that was what ruined it. If they literally would have come out, been like Mario Party, Rabbids, Smash, Breath of the Wild, and then what was the other one? Fucking A. Metroid. Did I say Metroid? Whatever. They would have shown that if they would have come out and slapped all those and then threw everything else in like a 20 to 30-second reel, I would have been good. But they took so much time. Like a 40-minute presentation. They took so much time to show me games that I already know everything about. I don't care. Like it just didn't hit the mark for me.
See, but I don't think it was as bad as like feel like it was. I definitely feel like they had enough hype stuff there that like, because Nintendo Directs, I don't think they ever like announced like a shit ton of like really big releases. It's always like those few big releases or new announcements, and then you also have like all the ports and little stuff sort of like sprinkled in there.
Yeah, but like for me, okay, when I think of like the best directs, okay, like think about the Squid Kid and seeing the Smash Ball show up in his eye. That's the moment in
That's
a direct that we did not have, and I wanted that. For a
true.
we saved E3 moment, that is what I needed. Was seeing the Smash Ball in its eye. You know that kind of let's get hype, let's freaking go moment. And I just didn't feel they had that for this.
I just imagine you like screaming at the screen. It's like, "Where's the Smash eyeball?"
Like it just they didn't have that holy shit this is happening moment.
The question is though, like, what could they have shown that would have given that moment? Because now I'm thinking, because
Metroid
I
Prime
can't
4
really
gameplay.
gameplay. Yeah, gameplay.
I mean,
Yeah,
we've
probably.
been waiting 5 years for that. I think that would have been their holy shit this is happening moment.
That's the whole reason we're getting Metroid Dread now. Is like, okay, listen, we are working on Metroid 4. It's not ready yet, but here's something to at least like tide you over. Here's like an
Yeah,
appetizer. Here's
exactly.
one. I think. What the fuck?
Trev just got home. He's yelling.
That was interesting.
All right,
Let's
go ahead.
see what else. All right, so Nintendo, we get it. Was the best conference of the weekend. Moving on.
Oh my god. Okay.
For the past week, I've been like bookmarking a bunch of tweets on like news and stuff that we could possibly talk about. So I'm gonna just sort of go through some stuff. One is that Pokemon Unite game
Yeah,
coming out
they
soon.
did announce that very quickly after E3.
And it is coming out July even. First on Switch and then on mobile in December. So that's interesting plan for that.
I've been watching that game. I've been following it pretty heavy, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Tony's been
Yeah,
looking forward
cause
to it as well.
yeah, cause it's a MOBA essentially, like League of Legends
Yeah,
style.
it's got
Yeah,
a
so
weird
who
take.
knows?
It's got a different take.
Yeah, hopefully they. I'll probably have to look up that gameplay later, because who knows? That might be something I might dive into and check out depending on how it goes. And then some other game news, a pretty big one. Scott Cawthon, the guy behind the Five Nights at Freddy's
Yeah,
franchise, has basically retired because of some political donations he's made, and getting backlash over that. So I want
interesting.
to see what, so I want to see what you thought of that, because obviously you're big on horror. I don't know what you think of like the Five Nights at Freddy's games, if those were ever your niche or not.
I like them. They're all right, but like I more or less just watch the like game theory lore videos and stuff on them. I haven't like touched too much on the.
Right,
I've
like
played a couple of them, but I'm not super deep into them.
yeah, because we also got the eventually. I don't know if it's out already or not. That Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, like that new one that's coming out
Mhm.
eventually.
Mhm.
When that one seems to definitely have a different take on this series from what they've gotten so far. But like, I've always sort of like appreciated it. I've never played it, but I can always appreciate how it was like this almost generational genre defining horror game, different from other stuff that has come out over the years.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are these like cute animatronics terrifying? But then once one starts screaming in your face, like, oh, that's why.
But yeah, it's been
Okay,
a wild week in terms of video game announcements and stuff like that.
yeah. speaking of wild video games, I'm guessing this is due to the effect of Battlefield 2042, but apparently so many people are now playing Battlefield 4 again that EA had to actually increase their server capacity.
Jesus.
So like
Well,
that's insane.
it was free for, I believe, Amazon Prime. It was free for a second there.
Still though, like to have that many people coming back to a game that came out like what, how long ago? Like 2014?
To be fair, 2042 looks freaking hype. It looks really
I
good.
it yeah, plus like I said before when they showed it, like 2042 gives me that Battlefield 4 vibe, and
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 is definitely my favorite out
Yeah,
of all
same,
of them.
same.
And like there is that whole sort of like controversy now, like it's not gonna have a campaign, but still be worth the $70. So it's like, yeah, but like there's other games out there people have paid a price maybe slightly lower than that or around that range that also didn't have campaigns.
Overwatch,
Like Overwatch, Black Ops 4, people
Rainbow
still
Six
play
Siege.
that. Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege. So it's like, is it really that big a deal?
Yeah, I
Like, do some shooters even need a campaign anymore?
I see when I think of Battlefield, I don't think of the campaign. I think of the multiplayer. So for me, I don't really care that the campaign's gone. I've already
Yeah,
pre-ordered the damn thing, so
yeah. The only Battlefield campaigns I've only ever enjoyed or cared about is
Bad Company.
Battlefield, yeah, Battlefield 4 and the Bad Company ones.
Yeah.
Because Bad Company had like an interesting cast of characters that you just couldn't help but enjoy, which made the campaign that much better.
So E3's been hectic. I got two
Yeah,
questions to close out this thing because I think we've been going for a little over an hour.
yeah.
I got two questions.
All right.
Best conference now that we've talked it out, because it's not Nintendo. They
What are you
didn't
talking about?
say.
What are you talking about? You said it was Nintendo.
Nope, nope. I know
Yeah,
this. I know this whole podcast has been laggy for us, but it was not me saying Nintendo was the best.
I heard you just go like Nintendo was
No,
the
no,
best.
didn't happen. But for me, it's Xbox. Xbox takes it home,
Yeah, it definitely was Xbox. Just
especially
a,
because they showed off their games and then they had the extended showcase. And I'm only including that because we've included so much outside of like just during this week of E3, not just the exclusive E3 presentations.
right. Yeah, definitely Xbox definitely took it because you got some updates for trailers for games that people have been waiting on. A bunch of games announced that are going to be dropping day one on Game Pass when they come out.
Yeah,
Games that aren't bad looking. Uh, Halo and Forza graphically both look insane. Halo Infinite multiplayer being free to play, that's a big deal. Finally, a Starfield trailer, even if we aren't getting it for over a year still.
yeah.
Definitely a lot of big moments from those.
And then out of everything over this last week, what are your three most anticipated, most hype things that you were excited about out of E3, out of everything that happened over the last week?
Oh God,
Because
that's
for me, I'll give you a second to think.
yeah.
For me,
I was
it
gonna say you
goes.
go ahead and go first.
For me, it's Forza's at the top of my list. Forza looks fantastic, followed by Battlefield 2042. And then my third is something that happened a little after E3, but I'm including it, was the Xbox game, Xbox Design Lab coming back. That is freaking sweet.
Yeah, I can agree with some of that. Battlefield 2042 definitely top my list, even if it was announced a little bit before E3. But we did at the Xbox showcase, we did get like apparently it was actually like somewhat of a recreation of how the trailer went down, but actually in game some moments.
Yeah,
So just seeing like that actual gameplay, that got me even more hyped for the game.
yeah,
And then two other things. I would have to probably say Elden Ring, because that whole world just looks insane, and the fact that's gonna be a massive Souls like open world game.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. And then the third one, that's where it gets tricky. Because I want to say like Halo Infinite, but that's if I get Xbox within the rest of this year.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of iffy. If I do get one, it would be Halo Infinite and then probably whatever else comes on Game Pass. If not, I would definitely have to say I might have to say Metroid Dread because I've never played a Metroid game before, but that one looks like something I would enjoy.
Yeah. All right.
But of
Well,
course, like
go ahead.
all the shit shown up within like the past month, it's hard to get hyped up for just like 3 things.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
That pretty much covers everything. I think we did a pretty good job rehashing everything, despite all the technical difficulties that we did
Yeah.
have along the way.
Mm,
But
it wouldn't had to be scuffed as all hell first podcast.
yeah, we might as well make it as scuffed as possible. So,
Yeah.
if people wanted to look you up, where can they find you? If you want to disclose that information.
I mean, I was gonna say I don't really care for people following because I don't really post much or do anything on social media. So all I'll say is definitely follow the Enter to Chat of social medias. I believe we're on Twitter, Instagram. We
Yes,
have a
sir.
TikTok, and of course, YouTube channel here. If you're turning in for the first time, definitely subscribe for more videos that we're gonna be putting up. You'll get we're gonna have these podcasts weekly or bi-weekly. I think we're shooting for weekly, and along with all the other type of video content we'll be doing.
Yep. And then for me, check out the main channel, Kneeckoh Gaming. Check me out on Twitter. It's Kneeckoh Gaming. I don't think there's any... Actually, it's Kneeckoh_gaming. I lied. Instagram's also Kneeckoh_gaming. And I believe TikTok. All that'll be linked in the description below. I'm not going to throw it up on screen here. But that is it. Thanks for entering the chat with us. And we'll see you next time.